Hi guys. It is Sunday today and my plan is to go to the library and do a lot of work because I have like a million things I need to memorize before tomorrow, and also an essay I have to write, and also 7 hours of actual work for my job to do. And now this. So thank you so much. Okay? But despite it all, I want to have a lovely Sunday. And I think it's really important to take time to go out and do things that bring you joy. Because if I were to just stay inside and work all day, I think I would feel worse. So we're gonna try and have a nice little day. I heard that there's a Swedish market happening. Stop. Enough. I'm 25. There's a Swedish market happening down by the waterfront that I might go see. I think my dad and I are also going to go to the St. Lawrence market and get a back bacon sandwich before I go and do my work at the library. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I'm also almost finished my Year of Rest and Relaxation by Ottessa Moshfegh. And then I want to do a little review of the Supper Club and my Year of Rest and Relaxation because I've been really into female craziness and rage lately, as most of us have been. So I want to explore that in more depth later on and let you guys know how I feel about that. I loved Supper Club so much, loved it, and I really like my Year of Rest and Relaxation, but I feel like I need to fully grasp how much I love it in the end. I feel like that with most books, but Supper Club, honestly, I loved the entire way through. But I'm really excited and intrigued and kind of scared to see how my Year of Rest and Relaxation is gonna end. Okay. Other than the work and the fact that I now have a whole assignment actually, three actually to do now tonight, and it's 5 o'clock already. That's fine, that's okay. But I had the best time. I couldn't film very much in the exhibit, obviously, because it's art, but I cried. I cried because some of you might know I minored in art history at university, and there is a Flemish artist called Hieronymus Bosch who I basically did like my final project on, one of his paintings, and I saw that painting, like the real painting in the flesh, at this exhibit today, and I literally just started tearing up, and I literally texted my friend and I was like, who up crying at the ROM? I am, okay? I'm crying at the ROM. And so it was amazing. So obviously I couldn't film in the exhibit, but it was beautiful. And obviously just the ROM, I haven't been to the ROM in so long. And I think oftentimes I just forget that it's just there. Like, I live in Toronto and I can just go to the ROM. You know, like, it's crazy. It's one thing about living in a city that I love so much. There's so much stuff to do all the time. Like, hey, I can just hop on the subway and then I'm seeing armor and swords from the 13th century in front of me. Like, that's crazy. But anyways, I finished my Year of Rest and Relaxation. I have many thoughts. It was crazy. You know, when you finish a book, I'm the kind of person, especially with heavy books like that, I feel like I need maybe even a day or so to really kind of let it marinate in my brain before I can really have thoughts and feelings about it. Because initially, like, yes, I loved it. I thought it was really interesting, but I think there's so much more that will hit me throughout the day or the next few moments that I can include in my little review and chat that I want to have about it. But I started a new audiobook called Loved One by by Aisha Muharrar, Loved One. It's really beautiful. It's like the cover looks like this. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that cover before. It's so exposed, overexposed. It's fine. I'm liking it so far. It's like pretty chill writing, and it's about this girl, this young woman rather, I think she's 30, and her best friend essentially dies, and he was a boy. It's kind of like unpacking their friendship after his death. And I already know that it's going to really sting. You know, like I already know that I'm gonna cry at some point. Probably more than once. But I'm gonna go have dinner. And then I'll be back. Okay. Okay guys, this angle still is not what I'm hoping. All of my schoolwork that I should be doing right now is here beside me on my bed, and it's just not happening tonight. But I want to talk about the 2 books that I have just finished. About crazy women. So I read Supper Club by Lara Williams, and this book is about this young girl, and it starts out when she's like 18, I think. And it's about her going off to university and kind of having this idealized version of what her life is going to become once she leaves her small town and goes off to university. And it turns out to become this very lonely, isolating experience for her, which I think is a very common thing for a lot of people, especially young women. Like, if you go off to a university where you don't have already a set of friends that you're coming there with, it can be very hard to find friends. And essentially, it's about her kind of moving into this house, and then eventually she does meet friends, and they begin this thing called Supper Club that happens like once a month, I think. And it's essentially a night where everybody gets together who's invited to Supper Club and eats and drinks and does drugs as much as they can. Like, it's all about indulgence to the point where all of them make themselves sick. And it's kind of a metaphor of like women. The whole book kind of is a mosaic of different women's stories who she meets in her life, and how all of them are kind of always trying to make themselves smaller and more digestible for men and the world as a whole. And it's so interesting how every single time the Supper Club is brought up to a man, it's automatically like they're judging them for it, and they find it so weird and off-putting and gross and stuff. And it heavily revolves around our main character, Roberta is her name, and her friendship with another girl named Stevie. And Stevie is more kind of free and larger than life. She's this kind of free soul, and I think Roberta really admires that about her. And I think Stevie is kind of the idealized version of Roberta's self. Does that make sense? For me, at least. Like, Stevie has flaws and isn't like a perfect character by any means, but she doesn't really give a shit what people, especially men, think of her. And she kind of is loud and annoying and disagreeable. And Roberta, in the beginning, kind of an obsession with her. She fully has a crush on her the whole time. Like, there's definitely a bit of a homoerotic feelings between them, although nothing ever really happens between them. But I found it such an interesting book. And also, it's a British book, so there's a lot of British humor. And I just love the way British authors write books. I don't know what it is exactly about it. I think it's because like I grew up watching British sitcoms and British TV shows, so maybe it's like a nostalgic thing, but I just love the way British people talk and write, especially. So it was very funny, very enjoyable read. Like all, in my opinion, great fiction books, it ends in kind of a way where you're like, what happened? Like, it's a bit confusing, and I like that, but also I don't have closure, and I have not stopped thinking about this book. It was so good to me, and there's so many times in the book that I think every woman can relate to. You know, like, she goes through a bunch of body weight fluctuations. There's self-harm in some chapters, you know, lots of eating disorder stuff. But the idea of letting yourself as a woman just be gross and indulgent and gluttonous and
it's so interesting because when I was thinking about it later, I was like, I can picture men doing all of these things that these women are doing. And the natural reaction from the public would just be like, oh my God, like, haha, they're just, you know, boys are just being boys. But because they're all young women, you have this affinity to be like, ew, that's so gross. Why are they doing that? But it's like, is it gross? Or is it just women doing something that men do all the time to know and don't get criticized about it at all? That's the question. Everyone pop out your fridge cigarettes with me. Pop out your fridge cigarettes with me. We drinking Coca-Cola Zero Sugar Twin. There's so many things to write about it, like genuinely. Like my review on Fable just said, magnificent. What an interesting peek into a lonely young woman's life. So many delicious moments in this book, and the author trusts the reader so much with understanding metaphors and nuance. Yeah, that was the other thing. Like, it's the kind of book where the author doesn't think you're stupid, you know? Like, there are a lot of things that you read in it, and then you're like, to the naked eye or the untrained eye, you know, you would be like, what the hell does that mean? Or like, oh, that's so fucked up. But it's like, no, you have to look deeper. You have to look deeper. And that might sound super condescending, but such interesting commentary on the gradual rage that builds up in young women's lives and releasing its shame through all indulgences at a male level. Is it scandalous, or are they just girls doing boyish things? That's not even half of it, but love. Yeah, it was so good. I definitely would recommend it. I also just love books about crazy women, like women who just do crazy shit. And why am I is it crazy, or are they just women doing man stuff? I could go on and on. You understand me? But it was so good. So good. 4 stars for me. And then today, on my long walk, I finished Ottessa Moshfegh's My Year of Rest and Relaxation. And mama, it was so confusing, but also simple. Like, I don't know how to... The story, if you don't know, is essentially just about this 25-year-old woman. I think she turns, by the end of the story, she's 26. But for the majority of the story, she's 25. And she has this goal of drugging herself up so much, to the point where she can sleep for an entire year and wake up a completely new person. And I mean, it is a story about depression, 100%. And I think a lot of people had a hard time with this book because the main character is a huge asshole. But if I'm not saying all, but I've struggled with depression in my life, and I know a few people who have struggled with depression in their life. And when you are in a deep depressive episode, you become an asshole. Like, you kind of just hate everything. You hate yourself. You hate the world. You hate everyone else around you. Like, everything anyone says to try and make you feel better just pisses you off more. You just want to be left like, you literally just want to disappear. You want to disappear. And this is what that book was. And the main character, she's this, like I said, 25-year-old white blonde woman who came from this disgustingly wealthy family, and her dad passed away from cancer, and then shortly thereafter her mom committed suicide, and so she became an orphan when she was in her teens, I think, or when she was away at university. And she never had, like, as we learn about her life throughout the story, she never really had any example of love in her life at all. And by the way she talks, by the way she treats other people, by the way other people treat her and her reactions to it, it's very obvious that she's never had good examples of love or friendship in her life. And it's very sad. Like, there were a few times when I would choose not to pick the book up because I was like, even though I want to read it, I was like, I'm already feeling sad today and I don't really want to make it worse, because especially if you have had depression in your life, it feels like going back into it because you are reading about someone who is in a deep, deep depressive episode and they don't know it. But it's about her relationship with her ex on and off boyfriend, Trevor, who is a bag of dicks. Excuse my French. Classic New York finance bro. Oh yeah, it's also based in New York City in 2001. So if you know anything about New York City in 2001, you're probably asking yourself, is 9/11 in this book? Yes, it is. Something does happen around 9/11 right at the end of the book, and it actually concludes the story, and it is such a beautiful ending. Like, the last few sentences of this book, it's like, oh my god, that's what the book was about. Like, it just perfectly summed up everything the book was about in the last like 2 sentences of the book, and I'm not going to give it away, but it was so good, and it had to do with 9/11. So if that's something that really freaks you out, or you don't like stories about that, then maybe avoid it. But honestly, like, the entire book is heavy and tough. And it's about her relationship with her ex-boyfriend, her best friend Riva, who she is so mean to, and Riva is a whole other story in and of herself, and also her relationship with her crazy psychiatrist who just keeps giving her drugs because she keeps lying to this psychiatrist that she can't sleep when she can, and she has been, but she just doesn't want to exist. And she has this idea that if she disappears and just doesn't exist for a full year, she will wake up and not be herself anymore, and she can restart. And it's so heartbreaking watching her like torture herself like that and try so hard to truly make herself disappear. But it's so interesting how they did it. But a lot of people didn't really love the book just for the fact that I think they thought the main character was too much of an asshole, which is totally fair. And I think that's a question of if you like books that have an unlikable main character, because I really do. I love books with unlikable main characters. I love books with like villain origin stories and stuff like that. I think they're so interesting, and it's such a character study into someone who just wants to disassociate and disappear rather than cause harm. Like, she doesn't necessarily want to cause harm to anybody, she just doesn't want to exist. But she also doesn't want to die, but she also doesn't care if she dies. Like, it's such a strange dichotomy in the book, but it was really good, I think. But I think if you can't handle reading a book about a main character who is an asshole and says terrible things and does terrible things, then this one probably isn't for you. And that's okay. Like, it kind of reminded me, like, the same fury I felt reading this book at times in terms of the main character I felt with Yellowface. If you guys have ever read Yellowface by R.F. Kuang, like that same, like, you're reading it and you're like, oh my god, you are such a miserable asshole. But I can't stop reading. That's what it kind of was for me. And I really, really liked it. I thought that it was really, really interesting. And I think it also touches on like a young, hot, white, rich woman being able to disappear from society completely without any sort of consequences whatsoever, and the hilarious privilege of that, and also what your life would be like if you didn't have other people or friends. And, you know, as cheesy as it sounds, it also made me think about, like, you can be the most beautiful, sexy, desirable, rich, wealthy, affluent person in the whole entire world, but if you don't have friends, you don't have good friends, you don't have good relationships, you can't laugh, you can't have a sense of humor, there is really nothing to your life. And that sounds so cliche and cheesy, and I think that's not what the book was trying to bring home in its entirety, but I did get that from it as well. And like, there's a part of the book when our main character goes to Riva's family home, and it's a family home, you know? It's like a lower middle class, regular home of a regular family. And she's just like looking at it with such distaste. And yet it's full of people who love each other, and a family who speaks to each other and watches TV together and eats together and laughs. And she just cannot comprehend it. And it's so, that part was so interesting to me, because she genuinely just couldn't, she just didn't understand. And I think that is the biggest tragedy in the story. It's like low-key reminding me of Harry Potter, when Voldemort and Harry, I think it was in like the 6th one or like 7 part 1 or something, when Harry was like, I feel bad for you, Tom, because you don't have any friends and you don't know love and you don't know friendship. And then Voldemort gets really sad and evaporates. But you know what I mean? I just love shit like that, because yeah, hell yeah, that's what life is about. It's about friends and friendship and fucking around with each other and family and talking to people and have people to you can talk to. Why did I almost say people you can talk to? I'm not gonna say that. Said it already. Yeah, I really liked it. And I'm really liking this new book I started today, Loved One. It is really cute so far. And like I said, I know it's gonna make me cry soon. I know it gonna do that. And that's okay. But yeah, so those are my thoughts, guys. Those are my thoughts on those 2 books. Loved them. Loved them, bye. Right, well, I'm just continuing to talk so I don't have to start my homework. What time is it? It's 6:30. And I do need to start, like, immediately. Okay, guys, I love you so much. Don't forget to follow my socials. Livyslib is my book account on Instagram. olivialloydbaker is my personal account on Instagram. Livyslib on Fable and Goodreads. I don't have TikTok. I don't like it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't like TikTok. Okay, I guess I should start work now. Love you guys. I hope you had a great weekend, and I hope you have a great week ahead. I don't know when this video is going to come out, so I can't tell you exactly what day it is, but I love you, and have a great night.